Doctor Who, The Companion Chronicles, The First Wave.
53 AU from the sun. We're in the Kuiper Belt.
But we are in the right place.
Of course we are. Look, see for yourself on that display. We're in the control room of a mining facility on the planetoid Grace alone. Oliver! Oliver! Radio, then television, then all the other ways we found to broadcast our voices. Individual signals might decay, but there was still all that noise, reaching out across space 6 trillion miles every year.
What are they?
Stephen? Oliver, meet the Vardans.
Hello and welcome YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics to another Big Finish audio review, and today I'll be taking a look at the Companion Chronicles Oliver Harper trilogy, The First Wave by Simon Guerrier, performed by Peter Purves and Tom Allen. So if you want to go straight to the review of The First Wave and want to see how this audio is showcased, there is the time on the bottom of the screen. If you have or haven't skipped, then let's begin the video. So for the front cover, which is my favourite cover out of the Oliver Harper stories, with Oliver Harper running at front, with a light glare by there, nice effect by there, I really like it, with the TARDIS in the distance, with Stephen standing by there, with a missile or rocket, with some nice wave energy effect, with a bit of hint of space in the background, with the First Doctor's intro blurred, and the First Doctor himself with classic Doctor's Brand New Adventures, the Companion Chronicles, the audio adventures of Doctor Who, and with the Big Finish logo down by there. So for the side of the release we have the First Doctor picture by there. It looks like it's right by the right quite a lot. It's not really in the centre, so yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just how it came out when it was printed. With Doctor Who, the First Wave in a very dark purple blue with 6.5, which is the 6th series and is the 5th installment of that series, with the Big Finish logo down by there. You have a tinted blue up there and down by there, and fades into white like most of the Companion Chronicles. And for the back, it is directed by Lisa Bowerman, a new adventure for the First Doctor as told by the companion Stephen. We have the bio on the story, which I'll place in the description down below. The characters featured in the story and who played the characters, where it takes place chronologically, and it is 16 minutes approximately, including a coming soon trailer for Beyond the Ultimate Adventure and behind the scenes of the First Wave. And when we open the CD case, we are presented with the leaflet and the disc. The disc is just like the Cold Equations disc. It is the Third Doctor's intro in purple. If we take it out, we find it has some pictures, not text, advertisements of the Perpetual Bond, the Cold Equations, Mother Russia, which I'm very interested in getting, and the Suffering. And for the leaflet, if we open it up, we have writer's notes from Simon Guerrier, producer's notes from David Richardson, credits, and Doctor Who magazine. And of course we have two variations of the cover. We have the normal one, the blue Doctor Who logo, and the First Doctor variation. Now to my review of the First Wave, and I would say this was the one I was most looking forward to out of the trilogy. But this one gets some sensational reviews from some listeners. That is a perfect audio with 10 out of 10s, 9.5s, 9 out of 10s. And with Simon Guerrier taking a risky move of using a very controversial monster, which is the Vardan, in The Invasion of Time, which is not a love story. I haven't watched it in quite some time, and I can't remember the Vardan too much in that TV story anyway. Yes, gutsy that Simon Guerrier used a controversial monster, but Big Finish do use bad monsters, but then make them really good. But I had full faith that Simon Guerrier did take a risk, but he would nail the Vardan, as Lisa Bowerman is voicing the Vardan the monsters, so Lisa Bowerman is good with everything when it comes to voice acting. And this story does continue the more bleak storytelling which was in the Cold Equations when they were trapped in the ship. And yes, Stephen and Oliver again are on the brink of death. Now to the summary of the story, and it isn't told in a linear order, as we have some scenes where the Doctor is apparently being killed, and we have Stephen and Oliver going through a bland, bleak, cold desert, and then we have some scenes before the Doctor is apparently killed. And it keeps going backwards and forwards. But if we were to say in the summary, when the story actually starts, the Doctor, Stephen and Oliver land on planet Grace alone, where they find the crew completely massacred by the Vardans. and the Vardan are planning to invade Earth, and they need to warn Earth about this invasion. So that was the summary of the story. Now I'll be going to my in-depth review, then characters and performances, overall thoughts on the first wave, and then I'll be rating the trilogy as a whole. So then let's begin my in-depth review, part 1 to part 2. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the structure, and yeah, honestly, I was a bit worried when I heard about it wasn't in a linear order. Found it quite daunting, but I assure you it's actually nothing to worry about. On my first listen, I was like, oh, I'm not sure, but then about a couple of minutes I thought, what? I was worried for nothing. It's flowing very nicely, and second listen, I loved it immediately, and there's nothing to worry about. You will fully take it in, perhaps on your second listen, or even on your first listen. It's not a bad structure. The first wave does really have a good feel of isolation and a really quiet atmosphere, as the only thing we hear is like metal tinging. It makes the story all more effective and really grabs the atmosphere very well, with the crew completely massacred, and with Stephen and Oliver walking through the desert, and Oliver trying to help Stephen this time, as Stephen was the one trying to save everyone in the cold equations. Now it's Oliver's turn. And yet this story doesn't use narration an awful lot, and it does make the story and the atmosphere feel much more alive. And yeah, I would say it's quite a full cast audio story, a bit like Scherzo a little bit. If I was talking about percentage wise of all the stories, Perpetual Bond was 50-50, half narration, half acted out, but that worked really well. I forgot to say about this with the cold equations, the narration felt quite overpowering. But this one, it's like 25% narration, 75% acted out. And yeah, it does feel quite strong to a full cast to me. Again, I like how the Daleks' master plan long-term effect gets into this trilogy, and also in this one as well. It's not really about Stevens and the Doctor's relationship, that was just focused on the Perpetual Bond. But now this is focusing on the Doctor now, as he's trying to forget all the deaths that happened in the Daleks' master plan, and do the best he can to save everyone. But again, he feels quite hopeless that he won't do it. Yeah, quite quickly we are introduced with the villains, which are the Vardan, who have appeared, as I said, in The Invasion of Time, a couple of New Adventures books, I can recall 3 books. And now they have an audio appearance, the first wave. And I don't remember them at all in The Invasion of Time, because I haven't seen it in such a long time, but I will eventually get to it in my DVD marathon. Yes, Simon Guerrier did a very controversial and bizarre choice, as the Vardan, well, they're just not well loved, they're not. But they were portrayed really well. Simon Guerrier just used the Vardan, changed them, and now they are just a force to be reckoned with. They are a very strong threat and nothing to underestimate. So well done to Simon Guerrier. I like it where writers do take risks, and then the risks work out really well. I do love it when writers do that. Yeah, part 1 flew by extremely quickly, it did. It does not have an off switch. It's extremely interesting, engaging, enjoyable, and bleak. So then part 2, the story right now is building up that Oliver Harper's time travelling is coming to an end, as we have got the full picture of this amazing, brilliant character, and now it's reaching the time to close him off, and the trilogy. I did knew what happened to him anyway, how he departs, as the locked room does tell you that in a flashback scene. And also the first wave does connect to the locked room, but can't go into detail with that. So yeah, that is quite good, because I really do like the locked room. Yeah, this is where Stephen and Oliver just work so good. This is the best, this is. As they're trying to get through this bleak desert and helping each other out. Stephen at first was exhausted and Oliver was helping him. And now Oliver has injured himself, and Stephen doesn't want to leave him, even though he has to warn Earth as quickly as possible about the Vardan. He still decides to pick up Oliver. You can tell that these two have a strong friendship and just won't leave each other behind. Yeah, it's a very good confrontation with the Vardan, with Stephen, Oliver, and the Doctor gets into the picture, as of course he didn't die. But there's great dialogue between each other, and Simon Guerrier really has made a controversial or bad monster into a really good monster. And yeah, we reach the end of Oliver. Now of course I'm not going to say what happens, but what Simon Guerrier did at the end of the story, it showcased Oliver Harper's character. as what he did throughout this entire trilogy with the 3 stories, and it's just so brilliant, it is. And it feels like an end of an era. It really does, and if you love the Daleks' master plan, I do recommend picking up this trilogy, as it feels like the Daleks' master plan is sort of continuing in a way, because it has such a long-term effect with Stephen and the Doctor. So I would recommend it if you love the Daleks' master plan, as it feels like it has a long-term effect what happened in that story. Now to characters and performances, we'll go to Peter Purves first. He played the Doctor, Stephen, and did the narration. I have to say this is one of his best plays he's ever done. Top notch to Peter Purves. Perfect with everything, voicing the Doctor. Stephen gets some fantastic dialogue, great interactions with Oliver, and the narration is quite low and it feels connected to the story. Next up we have Oliver Harper. Yes, it is his departure story, and yeah, it feels like an end of an era, as I said. Really well done and executed. Tom Allen did a fantastic job. And yeah, Stephen and Oliver really worked top notch in this one. And then the Vardan, and this was Lisa Bowerman voicing the Vardan, and Lisa Bowerman can voice anything, whatever it is, a character. Bernice Summerfield, Ellie, a monster, a villain. She can do absolutely anything. Lisa Bowerman's just a wonderful actress. So what is my final verdict on the first wave? Oh, it's beyond fantastic, this story. Seriously, this is a really well done story and one of Big Finish's best audios in my opinion. I never thought I would say that to a companion chronicle. This one is just magnificent. My first listen, I was thinking a 9 out of 10, and it was quite close to the Perpetual Bond, but on second listen and third, I think it deserves a lot more than that. I give the first wave a 9.5 out of 10. Well done to Simon Guerrier, perhaps on the line with the Yes Men, and one of the best Big Finish audios I have ever listened to in my personal opinion. Written such a bleak and entertaining, enjoyable story, and also takes a risk of using a controversial monster and turning it into something beyond brilliant, threatening, and not to underestimate. Well done to Simon Guerrier and everyone who performed in this audio. Yeah, if I was doing my rating, the Cold Equations would be third with an 8 out of 10. Yeah, it is the weakest I would say, but still a really good story. Second place is the Perpetual Bond with a 9 out of 10. And first place is the First Wave by far with a 9.5 out of 10. All the stories are really, really good. Definitely recommend it. I am very, very excited for the Sarah Kingdom trilogy now, as it's written by Simon Guerrier also. If it follows this trilogy, then he is one of the best Big Finish writers. Now let's talk about the trilogy. It is a whopping trilogy, and it does make Dalek's master plan have a much more long-term effect with Stephen and the Doctor's relationship, a great newer companion for 3 stories, and really just captures the First Doctor's era. I give this trilogy a 9 out of 10 for the Oliver Harper trilogy. So thank you very much for watching my review of the First Wave and my thoughts on the Oliver Harper trilogy. I can confirm 5 more Companion Chronicle reviews coming up for this year. 2 will happen in November, which is the Suffering and the Arachnauts, and then 3 in December, which is the Sarah Kingdom trilogy, which is Home Truths, The Drowned World, and The Guardian of the Solar System. If you enjoyed this video and like Big Finish content, then this is the channel for you, as Big Finish is my bread and butter. There's a huge variety of Big Finish on the channel, and of course classic Doctor Who. And of course you can hit that subscribe button for more Big Finish in the future. So I will see you in the next one for Criss Cross. Have a good one, everyone.